here with Abbie Johnson, Tracy Elise's sister, to talk about her testimony. So how do you feel your testimony went? Did you get to say everything you wanted, or did the prosecution stop you at any point? Did you get enough out?
It was hard because I didn't get to say everything that I wanted to say, and they did stop some of the questioning, and actually sometimes we kind of got caught up in that rapport that sisters have, and the judge had to stop me and say, hey, I need you to respond only when you're asked a question. And I even got a little frustrated sometimes because I even said, I think at one point, do you have a question for me? And I think that my emotions surprised me sometimes, because it's been a long time bringing this to the trial point, and we talked a lot about the history of my relationship with her and what I've observed in her spiritual development, and how she went from Christianity to Tantra as her spiritual path, and what that was like for me personally to witness, which was very upsetting for me actually, because at the time when that all occurred, I didn't know much about Tantra. I personally, I guess I would say I'm more of an agnostic. I'm not in a religious affiliation and never have been. And I had a juror ask a question about my own interest in Tracy's world, and I thought that was really compelling, because I think it says a lot to me about, I guess, for some people, what it must be like to be a family member when you've got another member of the family so driven by their faith.
Yeah,
right?
that it becomes their whole life purpose.
Right.
And her daughter, so I am sure I could feel and understand a lot of the things you said, and because Ben and I aren't able to testify, and hopefully our younger brother will be able to up until this point, your testimony was so powerful and so important, because you are holding the emotions and telling the story for the entire family, right, which has gone through this process with her. And from what Kyle, Tracy's advisory council said, and a few people watching, they said it was the most powerful testimony that we've had so far.
Well, that pleases me, because I think that what that speaks to, I mean, for me, what I was hoping my testimony would provide would be a view for the world, I mean not just the jury, but the world, to see Tracy through the eyes of her family, and that we've had a lot of concern about her path, because it is cutting new ground, so to speak. The religions on the planet are primarily patriarchal in nature. There is no real spiritual authority given to the female divine, and I do believe that she really is about that, and I also believe that that is what she was teaching in her practice, her
and it's a
practice.
really hard practice. I think, the prosecution, they haven't really taken this angle, but they have a little bit. I mean, with financials, as far as to say, oh, well, she was doing this for the money, or she had this nice house in Sedona, or she paid her kids more. I think it was really important to show, no, actually, we don't do this for the money. This is actually really hard and a lot of work and very emotional, not just for her, but everyone around her.
That was a very sticking point for me in testimony today, when I, it actually surprised me, felt so much sadness and anger come up in me several times around Tracy's choice to take a vow of poverty, her choice to provide so much love, shelter, food, clothing, whatever kind of support that she could to whomever came into the church. And sometimes that left her with no means of support for herself, and sometimes that meant that there wasn't enough for her own children at times. And that was very hard as a family member to go through. I think my anger about that came up again today and showed on the stand, and I was worried that people on the jury might misunderstand the anger and see it as me being angry with her now, and I'm not. In fact, I'm angry about her being prosecuted, because I don't understand where the victims are. They have no victims in my mind, and haven't been able to prove that there were any victims. So that's really troubling to me, that so much effort and resources have been put into this, as well as so many lives have been destroyed and irrevocably changed.
And it's re-victimized. If people were victimized, this process most certainly made victims of the people being prosecuted. So it's been a really challenging thing, and I really think that your testimony was very powerful.
Thank you. I mean, I was scared and worried I might say the wrong thing, and all I did was pretty much tell the truth from my point of view, which I think probably what was hardest about that was that I actually look and sound a lot like Tracy. And I actually don't have a problem with any of the things that she stands for. It's not my path. And the jury wanted to know, one juror in particular made a point to ask on cross-examination how I could go into her world and be so driven to be close to her. And my answer was that I really just want to understand my sister. And I am the kind of person that doesn't turn away from something that I don't understand. I usually go toward it, go into it, and I think that anyone that I truly love deserves my understanding, and that was why I did that. I know that it really actually was hard for my mother to understand how I could do that for my own sister. So I am very grateful for her presence in my life, because she's taught me a lot about compassion, about truly about Tantra, which is the weaving of energies, you know, and I've learned a lot about my own personal health, which I've been constantly working at trying to rebalance my energy. So it's pretty cool stuff. I don't know enough about it to even speak about it, but I know that I understand that it's something I can't explain and that I need to know more about for my own well-being. So.
Well, thank you.
Oh, honey, I love you so much.
Love you too. See you next time.